Hey y'all, do you ever wonder how to actually add art the Charlotte Mason way and feel a little overwhelmed by it because maybe you don't even have artistic abilities yourself? Well, if that's the case, I'm so excited because I'm going to be sharing with you some steps that should make that pretty easy for you and your homeschooling journey with the Charlotte Mason way. I'm Dolly Freeman. I'm the host of the Charlotte Mason Way show. I'm really excited about today's topic because it really adds a simplicity to so many elements. And let me just jump right into it because it's really a good topic. You might want to have a piece of paper and pen ready as we talk about how to combine art with nature study. This is something of the two subjects that a lot of mamas have a really hard time adding into their homeschool because it seems as though it requires more from the Charlotte Mason mama than the Charlotte Mason mama has time to give, right? But what I'm going to be sharing with you today actually helps you to really embrace not only nature study, but allowing your children the subject of art. And you will not believe how simple Charlotte Mason makes it for us, Charlotte Mason mamas, and enjoyable for the children. In fact, your children are going to actually want to start sketching all on their own and using different types of mediums just because you follow these 3 easy steps that I'm going to share with you today. So let's get started by telling you that in today's show, you're going to discover the 3 easy steps to turning nature study into art. And then the 3 Charlotte Mason thoughts about the art that is inside your children. And then most important aspect to developing an artist. So if you're ready, let's get started and feel free to take notes. So today's truth is that art is a subject that uncovers so much that is hidden inside each of us that can be easily discovered if we take the time to observe the details within nature. This is something that I have been embracing myself over the last several months, and it's been very enjoyable as well as surprising the actual details that come out in my art. And I'm real excited about sharing what it was that caused me to be able to get there. So the first step is you're going to want to gather nature items or nature objects. This is a perfect opportunity for your weekly nature walks. If that's all you can fit in, start with that weekly nature walk and then just have your children gathering nature items and help them to be able to understand that they can be looking. Well, let me move to this next one. Encourage your children to collect nature objects that interest them while they spending hours in the outdoors on every tolerably fine day. So this is what I want you to do is, grab a basket, grab a book bag, grab any type of thing where as you're going on your nature walks, child has the ability to actually collect the little things that please them. I don't know about you, but my kids have always used their pockets on nature walks. And in fact, there was one time when my second child, I was getting clothes out of the attic for him, and when the seasons had changed. And to my dismay, I reached into a pocket and found a dead, decomposing frog that he had captured and put into his pocket and had gone and forgot about it. So chances are that frog went through not only the washer but the dryer and then endured the heat in our attic. So we got to see a lot of that. But needless to say, this mama was not happy about that find. But children love to collect nature objects, regardless of what they are. If you have a child, you have a collector. In fact, one of my children collected seeds because they really wanted to create their own garden and their own apple trees and peach trees and such. So children already have that natural desire to collect those nature objects. Just make sure that they're collecting the ones that are interested to them. All right, so now let's talk about this thought about Charlotte Mason. She says, now take up a nature object. It does not matter what, and you are studying one of a group, a member of a series. Whatever knowledge you get about it is so much towards the science, which includes all of its kind. So this is the beginning stage of a child understanding science, where we take nature and open up the world of science to them. It's a natural step. It's actually the most beautiful thing to see a child become interested in the world around them and then to develop the interest of of why behind it and the science behind the creatures or the rocks and geology and astronomy. I mean, it's amazing what this nature study can do. But in today, Charlotte Mason's telling us to just gather, just take natural objects, and it doesn't matter what. So release your children of, if you're collecting things that you really aren't sure about, but you know what, remind them if it's living not to put them in their pant pockets. That's very important. So number 2, observe nature objects. Now your nature walk, excuse me, I feel like I have something there. Your nature walk is not a place for you to be observing, the details and such. Your nature walk is to enjoy and let your children, gather on their own. The gathering is in the nature steps, but later you're going to understand and you're going to set a time aside for your children to actually observe that. So it's only when a child rightly sees what an object truly looks like, piece by piece, will they be able to see the potential of an art that is within them. This is the key of being able to not just look and describe what it is, but to be able to see the piece by piece. It's really beautiful when my son tries to describe a new bird that comes to our feeder. We've had a couple of new birds recently that he has yet to see. We switched out our feed, and all of a sudden we have all these new birds coming to us, and it's probably something to do with migration. But at any rate, he was starting to talk about the different features, the piece by piece, about how the beak looks different and how different aspects of it. And this is what I mean. When you allow your children the opportunity to take time to observe something, they're really beginning to rightly see it so that then they can have the piece by piece. And what I love about that is he's really into bald eagles, very big into bald eagles. And he loves the beaks and the talons of the bird. And so he can sit and sketch them quite often. And it's because he's looking at the different pieces. He's understanding the eyebrow almost of the bald eagle and how it looks very stern and very firm in its look. This only happens when a child is being able to actually rightly see, not just see it, but really see it. And that's the key of when nature study can actually begin to develop into art study. It's a beautiful process. Charlotte Mason says this: his own artistic perception seizes on the dint in the apple, the creases in the child's shoe, the little notes of expression in the object which break uniformity and make for art. This is so true, because how many times do your children find that little piece of thread that's hanging on a shirt or something, and then they pull it because it's drawn to their attention? Or perhaps the little cut that's in the sofa or the pillow, and they play with it, and next thing you know, it gets bigger. Children have that ability to see those little imperfections, as like Charlotte Mason says, the break in uniformity. They're able to recognize when something is a little bit out of place, and it draws their attention like nothing else. You know what I'm talking about, mamas. You know, you have a child who sees it, I guarantee. This is what she's talking about. And it's within that moment that a child's own artistic perception can be seized if we give it time in the day. And we know that next step that's needed. So that next step is to create what you see piece by piece. We don't want to look at something the whole, right? We want to look piece by piece. And what that means is that an observant eye will notice the smallest details and be able to focus their attention on recreating it piece by piece. This is why my son is really good at focusing on the beaks of the birds, is because it was in his interest of the bald eagle that he noticed how different that beak looked and how different the talons on an eagle looked from the birds at his feeder. It was those small little details that stood out to him because he had learned how to be observant. And it's through that in and of himself, I never assigned it, he began drawing and sketching eagles again and again and again. He would sit for hours and watch YouTube videos to perfect the skill of the different aspects of the eagle so that he can become better in his his own artistic right. And the key of the fact of the matter remained, it would have never happened had he not learned how to become observant in the first place. I hope this gets you excited, mamas, because it's So beautiful to see happen. So this is what Charlotte Mason says. Then put before him an apple, a banana, a Brazil nut, or the like. Let him not take a lump of clay and squeeze it into shape, but build up the shape he desires morsel by morsel. So what Charlotte Mason is saying this is that when a child has learned those observations and then they have been able to understand how to have their art situation, how to like remove the air from the clay, how to be able to mix the colors, how to be able to care for the tools in which he or she will use, how to make sure to take care of it. All of those things. It's when those necessities are being put into place, then you put something in front of a child, when the skills have already been formed, not the skills in doing, but the skills in the atmosphere in which they were to do them in the respect of the tools and the cleaning up of the area afterwards. And then and only then do you put the apple or banana or Brazil nut. These are foods, right? But you can be doing twigs and flowers and any nature items that you find on your nature walks and in your nature studies that was interested to your children. Then you put them in front of them and you allow them the opportunity to use different mediums, including clay. Now, I don't know about you, but my kids grew up with Play-Doh. And before I knew this, we would form things, in our hands and the clumps of stuff. But what Charlotte Mason is talking about is building something piece by piece. So here's my son loving eagles. Well, then he can take out one little piece and begin to make the beak and form it. We haven't done that yet, but I think he would like it. And to be able to do that. And then once that's all done, then you can start doing the feathers and the talons and the such. We're not taking a big thing of clay and shaping it. Instead, we're forming it piece by piece or morsel by morsel. It's a beautiful concept when you think about that. And so the most important aspect into developing an artist is to train the eye to focus on the smallest details. The way to do that is through nature study and teaching observation. And when you do that, you automatically give your children the skills to find the artist that's laying inside them, that's hidden and dormant. And also in you, when you have learned how to become detailed and focusing and being able to truly see, then you're going to be able to do the same things. And your artistic development, regardless of where it is today, can bloom quickly. And I am a perfect example of that. So it all comes from developing that true focus of being able to look at the smallest details. So let me recap today's steps with you and leave some comments in the chat. Let's talk a little bit and let's see what kind of things your family has been doing with this. But before concluding the show, here's the recap. So the 3 steps that you're going to want to do in combining art with nature study is gather nature objects on your nature walk or when your children are just out and about. Anything that they find that they want to collect and kids collect, that's the objects that you're going to want to use. And then the second step is to observe nature objects. You're going to want to really train your children to take time in their day to really look at the different things, to really stop and be still, and to follow those observation steps that I taught a few weeks back when I mentioned about how to teach observation. You want to watch that if you hadn't, because it tells you 3 easy steps on how to do that. And then the third step is create what you see. I remember when I first started this with our children when they were younger, is that, but our older 2, when they were younger, I remember just sitting there and saying, don't look at the big picture, just look at one part of it and draw what you see. And we were all shocked because this is the first time we had art lessons. We were all shocked in how we were able to draw that simple pine cone that we pulled out from our backyard. And it was really the start of all of us loving art and taking time. And in that moment, I literally made sure our children had pencils and their own sketchbooks. And we still have them today in our attic. Every one of our kids love to sketch, some more than others, but that's where the personality comes in. But they do love to sketch. And it's all started from that one little pine cone lesson that we had where we took time to observe it and we talked about the little things that we saw. And then we created what we saw. It's a beautiful, easy process, and I really encourage you to do it. Now, I have something real exciting to share with you guys. Over the last several weeks, I've been teaching you guys about observation and what it looks like. And next week, I'm going to be sharing with you something I've been working on. It's called the Observation Challenge. It's something that you can actually download and have your children and yourself doing this observation challenge, where you can not only develop the skills of observation that's necessary, but then you can also do some things with it to get outside and enjoy some of these tolerably fine days that are heading into the springtime and into summer. So I hope you look forward to that. That is something that I'm going to be sharing with you next week. So you're going to want to make sure you're here at Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be fun, and you're going to want to make sure that you have the ability to get friends there if they're struggling. I know we're all into this virus thing going on. We all have to stay home. So what I want you to do, if you know someone who would be benefiting by that, invite them to come, even if they're not a Charlotte Mason homeschooler. These tips work for regardless of who they are. All right, so I'm not seeing any comments today, which is a bit different, but I do want to thank you for stopping in. I do hope that these 3 steps of taking and combining art with nature study will help you to be able to teach your children observation, and more importantly, open up the artist that's inside them, and maybe even you if you take some time to use your skills as well. All right, so I look forward to next week when I share with you the observation challenge, and then until then, bye for now.